This is the story of Ferdinand. It is written by Monroe Leaf, and the drawings are by Robert Lawson. It has really cool drawings, so pay close attention. The most important drawing right here by Miss DeLuca. She defaced my book when she was a little girl. Once upon a time in Spain. Now, Spain is a country in Europe. If you wanted to go there, you'd have to go all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, and you would land in Spain. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would just shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and very strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. Now, Madrid is a city in Spain, much like Houston is a city in the United States of America. But not Ferdinand. All he wanted to do was sit quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. Those are some pretty silly looking hats. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting and leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them for the bullfights. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that's just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Did you look at that face? Wow, did it hurt. Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting and butting and pawing. People thought he was crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying. Bands were playing. All the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the bandereros with long sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick into the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadors, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick into the bull and make him even madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome, and he bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword, and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandereros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran through the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped, because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. The matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off his cape and his sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home, back in the cart, leaving the bull ring. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. I hope you enjoyed it. Wash your hands and always remember to smell the flowers. See you later.